anything more for the lighthouse. Lord, I owe my life to Him. You see, Jesus is the lighthouse. And from the rock to sin, and God His light of love around me. And I really see what it wasn't for the lighthouse. Tell me where would my defeat?
Precious God, we do thank you. We do love you and we do appreciate you.
Yes, Lord.
We appreciate all that you do and all that you are. Because without you, we realize that we can't do nothing. Praise God. Matthew chapter 12. May God bless the reading of His word. Matthew chapter 12. Bless. And begin, brethren, at verse 33.
Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasures bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned.
Church, I praise the Lord. Pay close attention to the word. I'll move straight through. Someone says, you can't judge me. Okay. You don't have a right to judge me. I'm not going to argue with that. But there is something that will judge you.
What's that?
Those are the words of your own mouth. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. Jesus said that a good tree, either the tree is good and it bringeth forth good fruit, or it is corrupt and it bringeth forth corrupt fruit. Generations of vipers, and how can you be an evil do good? Then he says that a good man bringeth out of his heart good treasures, but an evil man, evil treasures. And then he goes on and says, every idle word, every useless word that an individual may say, you shall be held accountable for. So now, then that means we need to take very careful, be more cautious about the words that proceed out of our mouth.
Amen.
Because they're going to follow us throughout eternity. I feel a virtue. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Now, I just want you, I'm going to go straight through, but I just want you to listen and understand. Words are powerful.
Yes, they are.
And sometimes we speak words and don't realize the good or the bad that they may do. And today I just want you to understand, we must be careful with the words that proceed out of our mouth. Because you will have to give an account for it. This is God. You see, the world was created by the word of God.
That's right.
So then God considers words powerful. And so we must take heed to what we do and how we do it. Church, say praise the Lord. Now, let's look at it. Jesus is letting them know that, listen, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. But at the same time, you have to give an account for every useless word, every idle word. Because by your words you shall be judged, and by our words we shall be condemned. Now, to show you something, Genesis, preacher, run through me quickly. Genesis chapter 25. Genesis chapter 25. And just follow with me. I want to give you examples of the power of words. There's nothing new under the sun. Genesis chapter 25, brother, and let's start at verse, I believe, 29.
And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he said, swear unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up.
Church, say praise the Lord. Esau and Jacob were twins. But Esau was the oldest, and therefore the birthright was to be his, according to the law. Even though God prophesied it that the elder would serve the younger. According to tradition, Esau was the firstborn. But Esau was a daddy's man. He was a hunter. He was strong and hairy. And Jacob was a mama's boy. And Esau was in the field hunting, and he was tired, and he came unto his brother who could cook. And he said to Jacob, give me some of your food. And Jacob said, no, I'm not going to give you any food unless you give me the birthright. Now Esau thought he was just talking. What good is the birthright, listen to me carefully, if I'm going to die? I'm hungry. Listen, you can have it. Jacob said, swear to me. Esau said, man, you can have the birthright. And so he gave Esau the food, and Esau did eat. A. B. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 30. Now it comes time, Isaac the father is getting old, and he has to bless his children. And he calls for his firstborn Esau to give him the birthright. But now Rebekah, the mother who favored Jacob, heard it. And while Esau was going out to hunt a deer and kill it and cook it like his daddy liked it, she went and called Jacob, the younger brother, and says, come, your father is about to give the blessings. Jacob said, how am I going to fool him? I know he can't see too well, but Esau is hairy. She put on a coat with like skin with fur on it, whatever, and she cooked the food for him, and he sent Jacob in. And she sent him in, and Jacob came in, and Isaac looked at, Isaac said, the food smells good. He felt the fur on him. The skin feels like Esau, but the voice sounds like Jacob. Nevertheless, he blessed him, gave him the blessing of the firstborn. That is why it is called the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It would have been called Esau, being the firstborn, but now Jacob has all the blessings of the Lord. And verse 30 says this: after Jacob got through blessing Esau, after Isaac got through blessing Jacob, here comes Esau, the firstborn. And verse 30 says, read quickly. And
it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made a savory meat and brought it to his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto me, who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled ever exceedingly and said, who? For is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me. And I have eaten all before thou camest, and have blessed him. And yea, he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great exceedingly bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me, O my father. And he said, thy brother, he came with subtlety, and he hath taken away thy blessing.
Now read verse 41.
And Esau hated Jacob, because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Now Esau wanted to kill Jacob because Jacob got the birthright. But who gave it away?
He did.
By his own words.
Right.
So then what's the lesson in this? Be careful what you say, even if you don't mean it. Your words have a way of coming back on you. I feel a virtue.
Yes, sir.
Be careful what you say when you only say it to get through the situation. Because the words you speak will come back on you. You understand what I'm saying? Now quickly, let's go to Genesis chapter 31. Are you with me, preacher?
Amen.
Genesis, I feel a virtue. I feel the anointing of the Holy Ghost. I feel the Spirit of the Most High God. Take heed to the words of the Lord. Because the words will follow you throughout eternity. And on your day of judgment, when your time has come, when you think all is well, you don't want the wrong words to follow you and come up on that day and keep you out of the kingdom. Words you spoke years ago, but you never dealt with them. I feel a virtue. I feel a strong virtue. Read Genesis chapter 31, brother, verse 32.
With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brother discern thou what is thine with me, and take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them.
Jacob had left his uncle with his wives and children. And the uncle came looking for him because he snuck out. But God told Laban, don't say anything good or bad to Jacob because he's my man. But after Jacob humbled himself and where you going with, after Laban humbled himself, said, where you going with my children, my grandchildren, and all my kids? You just took out and left. He said, well, it was time to go. And then Laban said, and where are my gods? Who stole my gods? Jacob said, nobody has stolen your gods. Why, if anybody in my family has stolen your gods, and they deserve not to live. And the Bible made point to say, but he did not know that Rachel, the wife whom he loved, had stolen the gods. And the father looked, and when it got to Rachel, she said, I'm going through the time of life. Father, please don't ask me to move. And he didn't. But Jacob said, whoever in the house has stolen your gods. And the Bible made note to say, and he said, let them die. They shouldn't live. But he knew not that Rachel stole the gods. B, chapter 35, verse 16 and 19. After this, God blessed them, and the blessing of God was upon them. But read, before they can really get started, to finish the journey, read.
Genesis 35,
verse 16.
And they journeyed from Bethel, and there was but a little way to come to Ephraim. And Rachel traveled, and she had hard labor. And it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said unto her, fear not, thou shalt have this son also. And it came to pass as her son was in departing, for she died, that she called his name Benoni. But his father called him Benjamin.
You note how the scripture said, but he did not know that Rachel had the gods. And right when the blessings had come, and before they can get started, the Bible made mention. It didn't say anything about Leah at the time. And Rachel had this son, and she died. Learn not to speak presumptuously.
Jesus.
Learn not to be quick to speak. Numbers chapter 13, preacher. Is the Bible speaking for itself? I wish you were dead. Watch your mouth. Don't even think it. Don't talk in haste. Because you never know who's listening. Not on earth, but in heaven. Numbers chapter 13. You got a preacher? I feel the virtue. Verse 30, read it.
And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are all well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight.
Read 14.
And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried. And the people wept that night, and all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt? Or would God we had died in this wilderness? And therefore hath the Lord brought us into the land of fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return to Egypt.
Now go to Numbers chapter 14, verse 28. Did y'all hear what they said? It was time for the children of Israel, when they came out of Egypt, to cross to the promised land. Moses sent 12 spies. 10 came back with a negative attitude, saying that the people were giants, we're like grasshoppers, we can't do it, what about our children, there's no way. But only 2 stood up, Joshua and Caleb, and said, we are more than able. And they 10 caused the whole camp to murmur against God and to complain. And they said, we would that we would have stayed in Egypt. My God, we would that we would have died in the wilderness. Did you read that? Now read Numbers 14, verse 28, preacher, please.
Now say unto them.
Now God is answering Moses concerning the complaint of the people. Read.
As truly as I live, said the Lord, as ye have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me, doubtless ye shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein. Saith Caleb the son of Jephunneh, and Joshua to the son of Nun. But your little ones, which ye said should be a prey, them will I bring in. And they shall know the land which ye have despised. But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms, and your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness. After a number of days in which ye search the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall ye bear your iniquities, even 40 years, and ye shall know my breach of promise.
Should we say praise the Lord? What did they say? I wish we would die in the wilderness.
Jesus.
What did they do?
They died.
At whose words?
At their word.
In the time of sorrow, in the time of hurt
Holy Ghost.
and despair, watch what you say. I feel a virtue. When you're feeling pain and hurt and you're disappointed and feel like giving up, watch what you say. And now you see why they walked 40 years. He said, the same amount of days your own footsteps took you in the promised land is the same amount of days you're going to walk, the years you're going to walk in the wilderness. A day, a year for every day. As far as your children, for what you're saying, God can't do, I'll do it for them.
Jesus.
Now, about 2 million people left Egypt. A whole generation died. All of Caleb and Joshua's generation died. They were the only 2 that lived from that generation. The rest of them died in the wilderness. At whose words?
Their word.
I feel a virtue. At whose words?
Their words.
It was who that said, whoever stole my God, your gods, let them die. But he didn't know that his wife was sitting there.
That's right.
It was Who that said in foolishness, didn't have respect to the blessings of God, did not have reverence to the Spirit of God. Take my birthright. What do I need it for? And then thought he could come back and get it. I feel the virtue. You say anything to God and you think you can come back and be all right with God. You may not have meant it, but God holds you serious.
Jesus.
What did he say in Matthew? Every idle word you speak, you shall be brought into judgment for. And he said that by your words you shall be justified, and by your words you shall be condemned. Now, turn to, preacher, turn to 1 Samuel chapter 14. You're doing good, sir. 1 Samuel chapter 14.
Amen.
And let's start at verse 24 through 28 quickly, sir.
And the men of Israel were distressed that day. For Saul had adjured the people, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food unto evening, that I may be avenged on mine enemies. So none of the people tasted any food. And all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were coming to the wood, behold, the honey dropped. But no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in a honeycomb, and put the hand to his mouth. And his eyes were enlightened. Then answered one of the people and said, Thy father straightly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. And the people were faint. Then said Jonathan, My father had troubled the land. See, I pray you, how mine eyes have been enlightened, because I tasted a little of this honey.
The children of Israel were fighting, and Saul was in warfare, and his son Jonathan was a righteous man and courageous. And Jonathan went forth and won a victory. He slew a lot of the enemy. And when Saul saw the enemy running, in his hastiness, he said, No man eat anything until this battle's over. But his son Jonathan didn't hear it. So after fighting and overcoming the enemy with a great victory, Jonathan took a little piece of honey and he ate it and was strengthened. And everybody looked at him and said, Your dad said nobody was to eat anything. Jonathan said, But listen, that's deception. God has given us a victory. What is going on here? Now, Saul was not a righteous king. He had already been grieving God. That's why David was chosen. But now, read, preacher, chapter 14, starting at verse 37.
And Saul asked counsel of God, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he answered him not that day. And Saul said, Draw ye neither here, all the chief of people, and know and see wherein this sin hath been this day. For as the Lord liveth, which saveth Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man among all the people that answered him. Then said he unto all of Israel, Be ye on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, Do what seemeth good to thee. Therefore Saul said unto the Lord God of Israel, Give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between me and Jonathan my son. And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod, and was in mine hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered God, Do so, and more also, for thou shalt surely die, Jonathan. And the people said unto Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who have wrought this great salvation in Israel? God forbid. As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of head fall to the ground. For he hath wrought with God this day.
Saul sought and prayed to God, but got no answer. At this time, he had enough sense to say something's wrong. You pray and talk to God, but you get no answer, but you keep moving forward in the same direction. And yet God hasn't spoken. But in his foolishness, in his overreacting, he said, no man eat anything until this battle's over. Jonathan, his son, didn't hear it, and he ate. Understand something. You may not like authority, you may not like this or that, but God honors authority that he sets in place. He didn't answer Saul. Now, Saul wasn't a good king, but God honored the position. Sometimes the person in power may not be necessarily righteous, but you have to respect the position.
Make it plain now.
And so Saul says, separate. You men over there and me and my son over here. He says, I'm telling you something. I don't care if it's my own son. He's going to die. Only to find out that it what? It was his own son. And he went forth to kill him. But the people stopped him. Never promise God something you can't keep. Every word you put out falls to the ground. You got to answer for it. He promised something he wasn't able to or didn't have the strength to keep.